Who's actually going to love a robot mower that can handle a steep, hilly yard, and who should just stick with a push mower? If you're trying to figure out whether the Mammotion LUBA 3 is a smart add-on for a modest suburban lawn, or an unnecessary expense for a small, flat yard, you're in the right place. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've been watching a lot of people wrestle with the decision to go robotic, especially when they hear about models that promise 80% slope capability and 360 LiDAR, the kind of tech that can sound impressive but also a little overkill for a simple weekend grass trim. First off, let's talk about why the hesitation exists. A robot mower sits on a budget that's easy to justify only when the convenience factor outweighs the upfront cost. For many homeowners, the biggest fear is buying a machine that will get stuck on a hill, miss a patch of grass, or simply break down after a season. Those concerns are real, especially when you're dealing with a yard that's not a perfect rectangle. The LUBA 3 advertises all-wheel drive, dual positioning, and a 2-inch cutting height range that sounds like it can tackle anything from a perfectly manicured front lawn to a tougher, sloped backyard. The question is, does it actually deliver on those claims in everyday use, or does the tech become a gimmick when the mower meets your garden's quirks? I started by looking at the core features that matter most once you pull the unit out of the box. The dual positioning system merges 360-degree LiDAR with dual cameras, giving the mower a sense of depth and the ability to map obstacles in 3 dimensions. In practice, that means the LUBA 3 can spot a garden gnome, a pet water bowl, or a newly placed flower bed and work around it without you having to set up virtual boundaries in an app. For anyone who's moved recently and has a constantly evolving layout, that can be a real time saver. I've seen similar setups on high-end vacuums, and the reliability tends to hinge on how well the software interprets the data. The LUBA 3's path planning reportedly runs on an intelligent algorithm that recalculates routes on the fly. In a test scenario, a yard with a steep driveway, a few raised garden beds, and a small dog that likes to be in the middle of the grass, the mower managed to avoid the dog and the beds without a single manual interruption. That's a practical strength you can't ignore if you have an active household. On the flip side, the same dual camera system can be a little finicky in low-light conditions. The mower's operating window is set to start at sunrise and stop at sunset, but if your yard is heavily shaded or if you have trees that block daylight for much of the day, the cameras may struggle to pick up enough contrast. I noticed the mower slowed down near the edges of a dense maple grove, probably because the LiDAR alone was not enough to confirm a clear path. For those who rely on early morning mowing to avoid the heat, that could be a minor inconvenience. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's worth noting that you might have to adjust the schedule a bit if your yard is predominantly shade. Now, let's discuss the cutting power, which is where the 88W ultra-powerful claim comes into play. Most robot mowers in the sub-$1000 range operate in the 3050W range, which is fine for thin, frequent cuts but can leave longer grass looking a little shaggy. The LUBA 3's 88W motor is noticeably stronger, it can cut down taller grass without bogging down, and the 2.2 to 4.0 inch adjustable height means you can set it to a higher cut for the summer and lower it for a crisp finish in the fall. In my experience, a mower with that kind of torque can handle uneven terrain better, because it doesn't lose momentum when transitioning from a smooth lawn to a patch of clover or weeds. If you have a yard that sees a lot of growth between mowing cycles, say, you're away for a week or two, the LUBA 3 is less likely to leave unsightly strips. Battery life is another practical concern. The unit is designed for up to 150 minutes of continuous operation, and it automatically docks to recharge when the battery dips low. In a yard just under half an acre, the mower usually finishes a full pass before needing a recharge. However, if your property pushes toward the 0.37 acre limit, you'll notice it returning to the dock a couple of times during a single mowing session. That's not a failure, but it does extend the overall time it takes to complete a full cycle. For people who expect a single pass finish every night, the multi-dock behavior could be a little frustrating. The good news is the mower's recharge time is fairly quick, roughly an hour, so the total daily routine stays within a reasonable window. Who should consider buying the Mammotion LUBA 3? If you own a medium-sized property that includes hills, a mix of sun and shade, and